So I've spent at least the best part of an hour trying to do vids of which I had some confidence to upload on at least one or two subjects. And the thing is, these subjects are so complex that one could be accused of going off at tangents, and yet you could still say it incorporates what's going on or encapsulates it. But yet again, I'm at fellow YouTube buddy, and for good reason, Resisting the Lies, who had uploaded a vid with the title "We Need Immigration Because of Declining Birth Rates." Now, even, and he says this guy, who you see before you. Look, I really should remember his name, but to be honest, the way I look at it, it's if you go too much after and look into their background, especially now, it may be looked upon as, well, is that stalking? No. I mean, I've always said, look, they're a bunch of puppets. Really doesn't matter who they are, right? That's the reality of the situation. It's a paid gig. That's what it is, yeah? And they're great. They can do theatrical productions of saying whatever, their belief is based on what they're bloody told. Simple as. That's it. For many of them behind the scenes, they are underling occultists, and they follow an occult religious aspect that demonizes humanity by and large, definitely goes out its way to destroy the core family unit, yeah? Historically, that has made us successful for thousands of years. Implements policies, because let's face it, we're dealing with corporations, we live in a business, that from primary school age onwards, the most innocent of us are exposed to things that would never have been in our thoughts for a good number of formative years, yeah? The innocence of childhood, because of a fraction of 1% that apparently believes it's not the sex that it literally is, and it's validated because this thing is permeated through every aspect of society to the point that people are scared to say boo, yeah? And they go on about declining native populations. That's why we need uncontrolled immigration, yeah? You attack the family unit, you destroy the character, you rewrite history, you're now renaming lochs after giraffes and drag that have to, sound great on, let's be honest, an auto-tune backed nonsense shenanigans in the form of, Taylor Swift and the likes. I mean, it's like it's idolatry on steroids, isn't it? Let's be honest. That's what it is. Seriously. And for so many, for the young team, they are missing so much great music from decades ago. And I'm talking about music that even when I heard it, I was maybe about 4, 5, or 6 at the time, but still can relate to it as I progressed and into later life. People that didn't have the option of auto-tune could actually play instruments and all the rest of it and could bang out a great tune. I never looked at any of them for philosophy or whatever else. I didn't look to them for that. Yeah? It was reminders of the time, and it was background. The foreground was the friends, the people, the interactions, societally, all the rest of it. What was going on in your life at the time, etc., etc. Yeah? Everything has been sterilized to the point of so much blandness as we head into this collective. And it's the mockery of things like Star Trek and the Borg, and yet that's exactly where they're pushing us into. The merging of man and machine. Yeah? Why not have a chip in the brain? Blah, blah, blah. But they're like, hey, look, we can't actually get native people to work for the NHS. Really? How did that come about? Why is that? Well, how did that come about? Oh, we need, so many aspects of society would fail unless we have people from other countries who will do the jobs that apparently we won't do. How the fuck did that come about? How does that translate? We failed the education system. We failed our children. Yeah? But you're not hearing any of that, are you? Why is fertility rates dropping like a brick? Yeah? What is in the food chain now that never used to be? That suddenly got introduced in the last 4+ decades? Yeah? Declining fertility, virility, sperm counts, all the rest of it, blah, blah, blah. And then you look at aspartame, other artificial sweeteners, excitotoxins in general, yeah? BPAs, BPSs, endocrine disruptors, It's an endless list, a shit show list at that. And one of the things that even was discussed decades ago when it came to incidences of cancer, there was places and people, for example, the Inuits, certain tribes and places around the world where certain things was a priority. Like the Inuits they would eat the caribou. The caribou were eating the grasses. The grasses contained these things called neutralicides. These things destroy cancer cells, blah, blah, blah. So they were very rare in the, certain clans around the world, certain native populations, blah, blah, blah. But when they entered Western civilization, they were far more prone to cancers than even the native populations of these Western nations. And we are already starting to see that with the uncontrolled immigration. They'll start to take up more and more of the NHS time because they've been exposed to things that they weren't before. And we're saying, oh no, honestly, to keep this system going, we need to have, seriously. Oh, believe me, this will be, I don't know which attempt, but, bear with me. Under fair use.
Immigration is absolutely essential to our public services. It's absolutely essential to our businesses, and it's absolutely essential to our economic growth. And what we need to do is end the demonisation of migration. In Scotland, we have a declining working age population despite a net number of people moving from the rest of the UK to Scotland. We need migrants. And this race to the bottom on migration, driven by Nigel Farage, followed by the Conservative Party and hotly chased by the Labour Party, does not serve Scotland's interests. And it does not serve your interests either. So rise up against it. Do as Keir Starmer did in 2020 and talk about the benefits of migration.
So my speaker cable just popped out, and so I had to, you could call this truncating the video, whatever. I'm just trying to add to this because, it sort of falls by the wayside when you're quoting this guy and then suddenly the speaker goes off so you don't actually hear what the guy's saying. Yeah, it's a bit awkward. So anyway, where were we? Oh, yes. There he was, from memory, because remember, I haven't even replayed this. From memory, talking about an opposing party leader in a good light. When did that start becoming a thing? Seriously, when you think about it. But behind the scenes, WEF, all the rest of it, blah, 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 this interconnected shit show death cult. And they're all, funny handshakers or variation on the themes. I don't know how many times I've said it, but you really need to look into things like Freemasonry. And if you just eat that alone, seriously, the parliaments would be empty if they had to actually admit to what they were. Seriously. And of course, Theosophy, humanism, the New Age movement, blah, blah, blah.
Nigel Farage. And this is a consequence of us being led down the garden path.
I know they're all the colour purple.
By the right wing in British politics for far too long. We need to stand against it. We need to promote our economy, promote our public services, and to do so by promoting migration.
Promoting migration. Seriously, type in Ireland into YouTube. Let me know how you get on with that. It might be different for you. YouTube, Ireland immigration. Seriously. You really need to see, if you haven't already, what's going on in Ireland alone. And that's soon to come to Scotland. I'm already seeing demographic changes. And they're not rocket scientists. They're not rocket scientists. They're not engineers. Seriously. They're not. By and large. And immediately they're a burden because they're getting access to services that you were on the list for maybe many years, but you're not a priority because remember, native populations are all bigots, racists, homophobes, and that's why, remember, they're teaching the bloody school children you're all racist. So we're here to help you to be less racist because even at your DNA level, you're racist. Think about the fuckery involved in that. Wiki.